conversation that I had earlier with my mum. I was on the phone to her this morning and she's kind of rang me just asking what I'm up to. I said that I'd be in the studio later and we'd be filming. We're getting back in the studio and we're doing the podcast and stuff. She was just wondering, what time are you going to be in town till? So I was like, I don't know. It's probably going to be a late one because we're filming and stuff. She turns around and goes, well, my little brother now, he's just turned 16 about 2.5 weeks ago. Yeah. And normally now year 11s, they'd have the prom. And I don't know if you guys had a prom.
Yeah, it's iconic,
yeah. So we kind of robbed it off the Americans, but over the, I'd say for like the last 10 years, it's been pretty common ground for secondary schools to have proms.
We were in charge of organising our prom.
It was the worst prom ever.
It was so bad, Like, I never even had a prom. Like 2 students, like sort the prom.
So how did you end up with the honours then?
We just
put our hands up.
We just put our hand up and said, we'll do it. And they go, okay, Sarge, you do it. And do you ever remember the Frenzy?
Yes!
The Frenzy. So like we were meeting like the Frenzy chief, go like, for good venues, and we ended up doing it in the crypt in the cathedral. Okay. And it was all right.
It was all right, but it was just like...
It was a bit of a flop.
It was a bit of a flop.
Yeah, but it's a learning experience.
That was our first foray into events. Year 16, no, year 11 prom,
Oh, it was right. Well, that was the idea today. He was obviously proms have been cancelled because of the COVID situation and everything else that's going on. So him now being a 16-year-old has been invited to an apartment and he now wanted to stay over.
To hear that, isn't it?
That's what I was saying, like at 16, I know your mum, you know what, we was never going to apartments. It just wasn't on the mind.
Not without a cover-up story, not without a lie.
But that's what I kind of wanted to touch on.
These party apartments, like a new thing. Because my sister's 18. Okay. And that's what she's doing all the time, like these party apartments. And it's
it was like Pro Evo tournaments back in the day. It was like the most you got out.
You go sit-offs. They were the big thing. And I think if it wasn't necessarily a sit-off or a free house, it would be the weekends where we took the cricket club. People would be down.
We used to drink in Sefton Park. We used to get like... When we were 16,
to get a bottle of vodka.
Yeah, a bottle of vodka. Because he had like a beard when he was 16. Yeah. So we used to send him into the office.
You was like Johnny Cummins.
Yeah. Please talk about it.
Not in that way. If you know Johnny, you just know he was the type of lad. He was like fucking 13.
Like 6 foot.
Exactly. Looked about 35 at 13.
Double, But we used to, because my brother used to be a chef on Alton Road and he used to be right next to a Go Local. And it was in, what's it called, Vinci's? So we used to like knock on the big green door, ask for Michael, and he'd come down and get us like a bottle of like Red Square or just like vodka. And it was back in the day where we'd never really experienced like alcohol before. Ale. So we used to drink it. I used to drink it like water. Yeah. So we'd split like a bottle of vodka. He'd have his with like orange juice Lucozade. I just drink mine.
It was always fancy fruit Swiss was the one.
Yeah.
We didn't even drink vodka.
Yeah. Well, that was the first thing I threw up off. I like can't drink fat.
That's what I mean. I've ruined so many drinks for myself. I can't drink cream soda, like anything like
Southern
that.
Comfort. Can't do Southern Comfort.
I've had one to me
17 and it just ripped
Sambuca was the one for me.
Yeah. Oh, I can't even smell it. I can't even smell it.
So what kind of then... let's call them white lies. Did you tell your parents in around 16, 17s when you're not quite old enough to be going to town? But ordinarily people are, your mates are going to town. You had a couple of mates older, a few years older, encouraging you to come.
It was so funny because our first night ever in town, do you remember Mood?
Yes, yeah.
So we went to Mood and we got there so early that there was no security guards on. So like that was the only way to be there.
I went to my granddad's, got a shirt out of his covers. But yeah, he was sending me pictures of like shirts he's got.
That's how old it was.
Like I had like I had these mad like brogue shoes on, like mad G. We turned up before the
dreadful. What was you saying as well before? You'd rock up in a what?
Oh, it was like the Primark cardigan. Yeah. Everyone had them cheap Primark cardigans with the cheap Primark polo underneath, jeans and like smart shoes that you would never look twice at.
Exactly.
We tried so hard that they must have just like out of sympathy, out of pity, like
just get in.
Go on, we know, but go in.
Do you know what though? Like we always like, no matter what we did, we always stuck to our curfew. Even on like first night out in Mood, like we got in, but we were home by 11:30.
So mad.
Got home. We like changed our MSN status. We were like, we just had the wildest night in town ever. I literally changed it to David and Ollie back home from our first night out in town. Some girl messaged us and went, 11:30, you're home, I usually go in then. We signed out, went to bed, never spoke about it again.
We were like, oh, no way.
So bad.
I think we used to, like, the white lies that we used to tell our mums when we were going to, we used to say we were going to birthday parties, didn't we? Instead of town.
Yeah.
So instead of going to town, because that was like quite naughty or whatever, just going to like a little birthday party or sit off.
I remember as well, like when
they didn't hurt the white lies though. I think, you know, considering it all for
they always turn out to be the stories you remember.
Exactly.
It's part of growing up.
The thing is though, because I'm the oldest out of 4, so I reckon it's the hardest for me.
You got the shit.
Like,
me and you.
Yeah, we got the shit. Whereas like my sister, like and my brother, like they come and go. They're just like it's easy for them, you know. I had to, you know, drive a hard lie. Do you know what I mean? To get away with things.
We was talking about this today. What did you do side of the house?
So we had a few things, and they always involved the bikes. Me and him are paper rounds. And weekends come, we do the paper round together.
I had a paper round as well.
It was a good excuse. I can think of a time there. So we'd sit on the side of the house. The way our house was, there was kind of like a passageway in between the house and the garage. I've let the air out my bike tire, and I'm sitting there with the bike as I'm fixing it, and I'm waiting for my mum to go to bed. As soon as she got levels,
I know,
there was us and like to say there might have been a couple of like our other mates, a couple of girls, and then we were waiting. I'm like, that text, I'll be out in a minute. It was about midnight. My mum's gone to bed. Right, she thinks I've fixed the bike and want to wheel the bike out the house, take the bike to his house, and then I can justify staying out all night.
Wow.
We'd done this just to sit in the park. Just to sit in the park. And then when it got to 6 a.m, we took the bikes to the paper shop, done our paper rounds, and then walked into the house at 8 o'clock in the morning as though like, oh yeah, just finished my paper round. And she never knew we were clever with it.
Until now, until she watches this later.
The other one with the bikes, we'd be out. We'd switch our phones off, batteries died, get to the pedal on, get to the corner. We were like places we should never have been. We'd get to the corner of the road, again, with your key, let the air out your tyre. We all bike and like, what's the matter with the pub? Me tyre gone down and we'd walk in with that excuse.
Did she not like say to you, like, why is your tyres always going?
Need to get you a new bike.
They probably knew.
Probably did, but I think the point is, when you're 16, you're starting to get that little bit of freedom and that little bit of independence, and you want to start making some more of your decisions for yourself. And you will kind of test the boundaries.
Do you remember like we used to go to Brookhouse when it was like £1 Tuesdays or something like that for a pint, and I couldn't say to my mum, I'm going to Brookhouse, Scream as well. I'm going to Brookhouse on like a Tuesday to drink like 8 pints. So I said to her, I'm going to it for like a Chinese like buffet. And then she was like, oh, are you? Yeah, I'll pay for that as a tenner. And I was like, there we go, 10 pints. That mad to think that was 10 pints back in the day, really.
But it was, exactly, so much has changed in the last 10 years.
Like getting apartments at 16, it's mad,
that'd be like mad to do now.
Yeah.
I'm almost 30.
But that leads us in nicely into the guests that have joined us today. So I think he's probably noticed by now, but we're back in the studio in the home of the group chat. So he's happy, I'm happy. I know Cope behind camera and everyone behind camera is happy. So it's good to be back in the studio in settings. But we are really fortunate today. We've got 2 guys that have joined us, and you will probably know them a little bit better by one of their Instagram pages, Independent Liverpool. But these are the co-creators and the founders of the app, the brand. It is Dave and Ollie. So guys, thank you for coming down.
Nice one for having us. That was good. That's the best intro I think we've ever had.
We'll take that. So again, it was just we've been speaking during lockdown over the Instagram and stuff, and I know that you guys have been, you are always posting, you are really active on your Instagram and stuff. So more than anything else, it's kind of the same. We just hopefully get people to come in, sit with us, tell us their story a little bit. What made them do the thing that's so sick that they're doing at this moment, and why did they get into it? And you guys can kind of just take over from there, really, and just give us a bit of an insight.
Can I go first?
So basically, being best mates since we were like 4, basically. Went to school together, and then went to uni together, and then started living together. And then like when we were living together, we always had this dream of starting a business together. Like that's what we always wanted to do. So like we had a few attempts of starting businesses. Like we started a wheelie bin cleaning company together.
Okay, how did that go then?
It lasted 5 days, and we lost a lot of money.
It was so it was because we were like
a wheelie bin cleaning service.
A wheelie bin cleaning service. I think we're just like.
Is this kind of like when you're a kid and you'd go like knocking on doors. Can we wash your car?
Like that. But I think we were just like a little bit high one night, and we were like, we were like thinking it. We were like, how many like people live around here? Thousands. How many bins are there? Thousands. If we set up a cleaning business, and we get £2 a bin per person, we'll be millionaires this time next year.
Yeah.
So like, we started knocking around doors and all that. So, but like, and it just didn't go quite well anyway. But there was that like we want with that. That's just kind
I think we did it during like the hose pipe ban as well.
Yeah.
So, like, I still feel guilty about that.
Yeah.
I was outside my mum's, like asking all neighbours around my mum's coming, and like you should see my mum's drive was just like litres and litres of water. I like didn't realise how hard it was to clean a bin.
No, it's so hard. No, I think the when we just decided to call it a day was so we went to like get our £2 off some woman, and she paid us in 5p's, and she sure changed us 15p. And we're like, what are we doing? Because I was like.
You can't split 185. We were like, this is it.
Like, what are we doing? Because he was doing business studies, I was doing law. I was like, why are we doing this? And we're like, but then that was the kind of like spirit of us wanting to get a business. And then when David graduated, he didn't really want to go into business studies, whatever, and I didn't want to go into law. And then we were kind of just little ideas were coming together, weren't they then, really?
So like straight after uni, I thought, I've got a degree, First person who's got a degree in my whole like family and stuff like that. I was like, I'm just going to walk into a job here. And it weren't that. I was spending like 5 hours doing like university applications, not even getting a message back. So I was like, what am I going to do for a job here?
How did you find that experience then? As you say, you think you're on a good path.
Yeah, do you know what? Because it was a lot of pressure. I didn't really want to go to uni. A lot of teachers made me, and then like you speak to your mum and she's like, "Oh, you'll be the first person to do it," and I'm like, I don't want that pressure. Do you know what I mean? So I think like I had this idea like, wow, 3 years here, and then I'm sorted the rest of my life, and like it just weren't that at all. Ended up getting a job down by the docks there, taking staples out of paper 9 till 8 every single day, and it was like in a massive warehouse with like that for a window. And like the managers above you just staring at you the whole time, literally staples out of paper. And I was like, this is just...
And you thought you had a tough in Jag?
Yeah. Comparatively, Jag. It was tough. It was nice.
So did that for a bit, and then...
Well, I think it's great that you're like, because he's only a year older than us in school, but to just make that brave decision, same way that, I commend you a lot of the time when you took that leap from Jag to go into PT for yourself.
I jumped out of guaranteed wages to 0 hours with not one.
Wow.
Not one bit of. All I had was I was in that job, and it was kind of a lot of people are coming to me asking for advice. I've always been around the gym. We've always had the gym. So I was like.
So did you
I may as well
Jag?
make money. Oh, I fucking hated Jag.
Yeah.
We had a mate who went in Jag, and he
just
turned him into a zombie.
That's the thing, isn't it? Like, because, you're doing that, and then, like, I was, like, just really didn't like the law degree and just couldn't see myself being a solicitor at all. And it's, like, sometimes, like, in those situations, like, you kind of, like, you want to make something of yourself. You don't have to follow that path. That's
like, fight or flight, isn't it? It's like that.
Like, would you say you were both quite risk averse then in that sense? Was you always willing to gamble on yourselves?
I'd say I'm like the least willing to gamble person ever.
Okay.
Although you will catch me in Leo's every
That's
now
why
and
it balances each other's out though, because I love a good risk. And
I hate a good risk.
You've got to take risks.
That's
sitting in the same position that you're not happy in.
Exactly. And that's something that I've learned.
Because obviously you will take a risk, and obviously and then obviously you got to like rein me back or whatever.
Exactly. He's got to convince me I've got to rein him in. So that's why it's like a good partnership.
But I think that works then for you, really. I think you've got that kind of balance.
Yeah,
in that
that's it. So it's a good balance, like, so Independent Liverpool just happened because, like,
how did that happen then? Give us that breakdown. How did Independent Liverpool become such a big thing? That's like, because it's become massive.
Yeah, I think it's so, I think we just caught it at a moment in time, like all things, you know what I mean? It's like just the right time, the right place. Like when we started it, I think like, because before then the independent scene was only really starting like to kind of emerge properly. Like before then, people were just really concentrating on going to Starbucks and going to like all these chains, whereas these other little places were popping up kind of thing, and then people were getting a bit disenfranchised with like chains like the Starbucks tax scandal and all that kind of stuff. So
Tesco Express is everywhere.
Exactly. It's just like, you look at the high streets getting ruined, the butchers are closing down, and like that really like we did really hate that, and like it upset us. But then at the same time, though, we absolutely loved independence, and we're like, why not? Why are people choosing to go to Costa Coffee rather than Bowl Street Coffee? So we just kind of wanted to like celebrate those independence. So that's why we started the blog, And then, but I think a lot of other people were feeling the same way as us. You know what I mean? But we were just like spearheading it kind of thing. So that's why it took off, because there was a real feeling amongst people that this isn't right. So we were just shouting about it, and then straight away people were like, do you know what? That's so right. Like,
that's what I was kind of going to touch on really within this conversation. So that was 2013. The blog, 2013. The blog starts kicking off, and then within about 6 to 8 months, you have kind of got ideas for an app of some sort.
So we started in like the January, and then it was like a few months later, and like it was weird because like we were like. What we used to do was we used to go to my mum's. We were both living back in our mums at the time, like, and we'd play a game of Call of Duty. And then, like, when the other person wasn't playing, because I didn't have 2 controllers, so like when the other person wasn't playing, they were just writing the article about the place that we just visited. So like that's how we were doing it for ages.
It was nice, wasn't it? Because that's how we used to meet up. Because we used to live each other, and then we had to move back home because David didn't have the student loan or whatever. So we used to meet up once a week. That was our way of like meeting up. Different
new places.
Then go back to David's house, David's bedroom. And like just like take turns and doing it. We used to literally do a sentence each.
And it's weird because like
or like 2, you know what I mean?
We did it for ourselves, where it was like something to stop us going insane, and it was something to like just something fun to do amidst all like the like just how serious life was getting. And then eventually it started becoming things that other people were reading, and then we were getting tweets saying, oh yeah, we went to that place because we read your article. And it was like, oh my god, this is actually like this is like, weird. Do you know what I mean? Like,
thought it just be like our mums and aunties, like,
you know what I mean? Like, oh, read that article, no, like, no, you didn't.
I love that though. I think that's like it just shows that, like, as you say, it wasn't done because, and like what me and him say when we talk about this, we didn't do this because we want to make money off it.
Exactly.
It'd be great at some point because, media and platforms, we kind of like that world. It'd be great to make, a lifestyle out of it. But ultimately, it was that.
Starts out as a simple idea.
That's it.
Kind of run with it.
It was
without a clear end goal, but like,
we've never had a clear
goal. That's how
goal.
the most like successful businesses happen, when it is organic and it's not you're not, if you're purely motivated by profit, then like I don't think people see through that. I just don't think those
unless you're absolutely ruthless.
Exactly.
You got to be willing to fuck over people left, right, and centre.
Exactly. I think like the best businesses like are the ones that just happen organically. And,
but I think that's the key with the independence, because I think that's how most of them have started. They've kind of started out of passions and hobbies and things that have kind of developed because other people have said, you've actually really got some ability there and skill.
You hear people that you're like saying like like someone's like amazing at baking cakes, and they go like you should open a little bakery. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
That's how it happens.
And what was so good as well, because we met the people like behind the businesses so organically. It wasn't like we were going in trying to sell this like idea to them. We just met them because we were like, listen, we want to start this blog, shout about you. And then like a few months later, it got to around like August, like June, and we were like, oh, how can we turn this into like a business? How can we like sustain a living? How can we like have more of an effect? And then we thought, like, why don't we bring out a membership card? And we were like, membership card's probably the oldest trick in the book, but we were like, let's turn it on its head. So like I like a talk where they talk about Apple as a company. So like they're selling you like their creativity, their technology, everything you can do with it first, and then they sell it as a computer or a phone second. So we were selling that idea of you can support Liverpool, you can change the city around you, you can invest in the jobs, you can literally watch your landscape around you change, you can invest in community, you can do it through this card. And I think that was a big thing, big thing for us.
We weren't like selling like a discount company. We weren't a discount company. It was more about the philosophy and ethos, and you were buying into becoming a supporter of independence rather than just getting a discount.
Well, I think that's very important, because if we fast forward now, so that kind of happened back end of 2013, 2014, and then it started to slowly build. We fast forward almost 6 years, and we end up in 2020, everyone going into a new decade. This is my year, this is my decade. Everyone's got the best of intentions. And then Corona comes and
I thought this was going to be the best year.
Just swept and wiped
everything, just cleared the decks for almost everybody. And in the midst of all that, you kind of watched our podcast as well, and you seen the one we did about Black Lives Matter and stuff. So obviously there was a huge incident, and there has been since a reaction in the black community, as if to say, well, look, there's an opportunity here now. You know, we can understand that. You know, there's constantly tragedies, and with the fact of the matter is now we're just getting them on phones. We're seeing them now. It's not necessarily changed in style or in tactic. It's just that we are now seeing them on a more consistent basis.
Exactly.
But there's an opportunity within that to kind of come together. And I love what you did about the black businesses and the black brands in Liverpool, and just kind of highlight.
I'm gonna be smug. Yeah, of course you're gonna be smug. 3 shout-outs.
The hat-trick.
The hat-trick came over, But it was that for me that I love the fact that, again, with Liverpool having such a multicultural community anyway, and such a strong historic black community. I know you lads went to Caldy's as a school, so that was very diverse in terms of that. My thinking is, how do that black community keep that momentum in a kind of a tasteful way, in a respectful way, but also show that, again, it's that, because I keep thinking, and this might sound a bit weird, but my perspective is, I've only ever lived in Liverpool, so me saying this is probably because I've only really ever lived in Liverpool. But I feel as a black lad, Scousers are probably the closest other people around to being black. Now, kind of stick with me on this, because there's like...
Is that on like the basis of, in the UK, we're singled out?
Well, yeah, in the UK, that's
the way to take that.
Yeah, in
like perceptions.
It's the perception of the outside looking in, and Scousers are proud people in the same way that, you know, the black population or black communities are a proud community, and you've got a sense of pride within themselves. Liverpool is very much like that. They back their own in the same way.
100%.
And then on top of that, there is that extra layer in which, when you're talking about the kind of injustices and that side of things, modern Scousers will understand that, not necessarily oppression by the system, but that we've been tarred with a brush by the system, and we know the truth.
100%.
We've been trying to search for that.
Yeah, Hillsbury is a clear example.
Exactly. And for years, they was kind of pushing their narratives as if we was liars, as if we wasn't true, as if we was victims of something that we clearly just wanted to be treated. We wanted the equal justice that anybody else would have got.
That's a really good,
So I always think, I'm not relegating the Scousers to black people in any way. I'm kind of elevating Scousers to being like a community that's already here. And that's why I'm just trying to think, how can we take this moment now within the black community?
Because I think the reaction in Liverpool has been like, you know, obviously there was like a lot of heartbreak, a lot of like emotions and stuff like that. But like so many, like, you know, quite often is the case, isn't it? It usually takes something quite tragic to create something quite brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I feel like that's happened so much in Liverpool, like, you know, just the community aspects of stuff, like the way like we did our peaceful protests and stuff like that. I think that like really shine a good light on Liverpool. And there's just loads of different ways, isn't it? Because like we've been talking with you know, loads of people off the article that we created and stuff like that for weeks now, and there's just every single person's just like doing something different, and like, you know, it's almost as if it's motivated them to do more and stuff. And I know there's a Zine called Rooted Zine, and that's run by like two amazing women, and they're part of now like a monthly. So it started off, it was £500 to give to like young black creatives who've got like great ideas and stuff.
Okay.
And it got such momentum that it's now like £1,000 a month.
Wow.
So I think like stuff like that, like true, you know, investments in like actually money, resources, people.
Because it's awareness, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
I think you are massive in that, you know, because I know you
definitely
use your platform, and I think anyone can kind of say these big companies. You did see a lot of these big companies jumping on the kind of. I'm not saying it's a bandwagon, because it. I don't like that phrase when it's something like
that was
this.
like the risky thing, like. Like from our point of view, we were worried it was going to come across as like, you know, performance of solidarity, and we wanted to kind of like show people that like, you know, we know we've got a big platform, we know we can do more, you know we can do it. The like one of the main things was like, you know, people were saying there was create this resource and stuff like that, and when I googled it, there was like nothing. Like I googled like black business Liverpool, and I'm not messing, there was nothing.
Me and Kof had this conversation. We was talking as well, again, just back and forth, saying, right, we're going to have a conversation like this with you. Let's get some black businesses in it as well, and we'll speak. And me and Kof just was and it was so awkward, because like we grew up in the city, and you don't think, until something like this has happened, you don't sit there and think, well, how many black businesses are there that you can actually access and kind of have a bit of difference and diversity within
and even
the
like
city?
on that, you know, with the article, like, you know, we've been updating it daily since we did it, and it's just crazy the amount of
places
businesses
that we found out about that we didn't even know about.
Yeah.
What are some of your favourites? Have you been to it? I know with everything.
Yeah, I mean, because I mean, we like love raggers anyway.
I knew as soon as you said it, raggers.
Raggers.
I sat there and trying to think of any others.
Like raggers is
raggers is the one.
Raggers is all
So
like
good.
we've been getting that for years. Like we love it. And like, but like Coffee and Fandisha, like amazing in the Baltic Triangle.
ran by two black women from
two black women.
Yeah, like really amazing women.
And that's like that's one of our favourite places as well.
And there's a woman who she's amazing, Samuya she's called, and she works for Granby Workshop. She's an artist, and I've bought like t-shirts off her in the past and stuff like that. But she started to create like loads of like kind of like Black Lives Matter related like artwork and stuff. And one of the girls called Amber behind Rooted Design, her art is just incredible. She takes these like really iconic art like the Mona Lisa, but turns like the Mona Lisa black with like a you know, with Black Lives Matter and like, you know, red graffiti with like a tear and stuff. And like, so it
she just flips it on its head basically.
Yeah, like honestly, just like it's just like, again, like it's so sad that it's taken something so tragic to like you know, get introduced to all these different kinds of businesses and stuff like that. But it, you know, it was mad to us, you know, the update and stuff, just crazy. And even like another great place that's just opened on Windsor Street, Jerk and Juice. You know, like really great guy, like, you know, doing juices, Caribbean food and stuff like that.
Desserts by Dre as well.
Desserts by Dre has been probably the best one.
Best ever, yeah.
I don't know if you've ever had him.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So we need to try out some of these.
I'm learning a lot right now. I'm taking these in.
Next cheat day, that's where you go, isn't it?
Honestly, he's absolutely smashed it, because what he does is just he releases a treat box every Wednesday. And it's 15 quid, 5 desserts delivered to your house. They're so pretty. They look like emojis.
They're like MasterChef.
Yeah,
like they're like
honestly.
MasterChef desserts, but like the tastiest desserts ever.
Yeah.
And that was what I was going to ask them, because I think one of the apprehensions for some people when it goes to like, I think especially when Anthony Joshua came out and was like, look, black people or, you know, people need to put like, you know, support their own communities. It's not an opportunity to stop shopping in the Tesco's or the other independents, but it's a way to say, consciously, how are you spending your money in your own community?
And that's why that message for us was so organic, because our message for 7 years is like, you know, vote with your feet. You know, the city that you want to see is dictated by like the money that you spend.
You put in it. And I think with you guys doing the independent thing, I think there's so much that kind of, it's that crossover really. And
the thing is though, because we had like a chat with Coffee Fandisha as well about all this, and like she was saying like, you know, we've got such a big platform that we should use it. And like when we started this kind of like just playing Call of Duty, we didn't realise that there's a massive platform that we could use for change and stuff like that. And like here we are like 7 years later, and like it's really amazing to see that, you know, we can actually put out a blog with all these independents and really get people to go to and like raise more awareness. And it's just crazy because we're having this conversation the other day. It's like crazy for us, you know what I mean?
Because it doesn't feel like and like I think even just personally these like last few months, like lockdown and like Black Lives Matter and stuff like that has been like massive for like, because you're just on Instagram all day, you're on your phone, you see numbers, you see like, so none of it feels real, and like none of the effect feels real.
Because like, and it's like to us, like it's still like we're just in that bedroom 7 years ago. Do you know what I mean?
Because so we've had to like
still like so it's like,
but that same energy's driving the whole vehicle. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like,
so it's been like a mentality shift for us, like of like, oh my God, we can actually like affect people's lives, like
affect change.
We did like a post for like when we got at Desserts by Dre, we did like a specific post about him, and he got something like 2,500 followers on Instagram overnight, and I'm just like, my God, like, just that like hit home, like, oh my God, this is like the kind of effect that we had. So it's been great for us because it's like propelled us to even like
it's like a wake up call for us. You know what I mean? Because
like social responsibility almost now.
Exactly.
These are role models in that sense though as well. And
so, you know,
to be under 30, smashing it and be as influential as you are, like
that was a wake up call, and like, you know, just we got that platform, we have got to use it. You know what I mean?
So I think one of the apprehensions for people when they are trying to say, or like, in the first instance, like, all right, we're going to shop black, or you go to Danny's or go to Raggers, and they might turn around and think, all right, well, that's a little bit expensive for what it is. Did you find it was probably the same sort of mentality when you were not trying to convince people to go independent?
Well, yeah, definitely. That's why I brought out the Independent Liverpool card, because we knew it was a little bit more expensive. But it's expensive because, you know,
it's better quality bread because, you know, Tesco, like, buy in bulk, drive the prices down, you know, so it's a bit more expensive, but you're actually putting money in a local person's pocket and all that.
Yeah.
So that's why the discount card was like a happy like triangle. Like the business would get more coverage on social media, more advertising. The customer gets a discount, and obviously, you know, we've got like business, we get money to support them and to shout about them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think is there like definitely scope then within the black community to kind of follow in your footsteps really and kind of simulate similarly to what yous have done really and kind of...
Because as well, like when we started, it was like, I remember like we made everything. It was like we made a Facebook, a Twitter, a YouTube that we've never used, a Pinterest, and like we started an Instagram and like we got like 80 followers on it and I just went, do you know what, Ollie, let's strip this off. It's never going to take off Instagram. And like years later, we were like, oh my God, this is becoming big. So we only logged back into our Instagram account about 3.5 years ago.
Wow.
And then it just absolutely exploded from there. But like, even like, you know, social media has been such a huge way to like bring people together and rally communities and encourage donations and stuff like that. So I think like people definitely coming together through social media is like it's such a big thing. And like you say, it's just keeping that message going, isn't it? Like obviously, you know, there's been that like initial in the media and stuff like that, and I know that, you know, probably in the community that there's that like, oh, what's next kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, I think that's where we're at now. I think the dust has settled on those situations, and I think a lot of people initially was like, well, it's, you know, it's an American thing and stuff like that, and I think people correctly said, look, there's a whole bigger picture that needs to be taken into consideration, and it might have been the straw that broke the camel's back in America, but equally there is stuff in England or the UK that has not been addressed.
I think there's a big problem in this still in the UK, obviously, you know what I mean? And like,
I mean, you know, I think one of the things, it was mad when we set up the podcast and we sit there and we're saying, right, we're going to have this episode to talk about this and we're going to have this episode to talk about that. We've said we're going to get a section of racism talks in. But we need to just like wait until kind of the right. We don't want to just come on and start a podcast and be Liverpool's this racist city because there's so much more to Liverpool. Do you know what I mean? But we couldn't avoid it, and then that situation happened, which just put it on our doorsteps again.
So really? So you were saying that before the Black Lives Matter movement started?
We already had those kind of conversations, but it was like, how do we kind of talk on it in a more the kind of same podcast forum that we've been doing? It was like, well, we don't want to just come off the back of with no context and be like Liverpool's, or unless we're just telling our stories and experiences.
Racism exists everywhere. There was no need to tell people what they already do.
Exactly.
How we ended up spinning it in such a way, as you see it.
When it happened, it was like
But the perspective of it, when you initially see that episode, as we literally pointed out in the episode, white lady and then two black kids sat obviously with not being in the studio, sat on a skate park. So straight away you're kind of wondering, in the midst of all that was going on at the time, everything was talking about Black Lives Matter and racial issues. So to see this be labelled as an episode straight away, it must have people thinking like, what is it these are going to speak about here? Straight, I thought that got the message.
It did, massively, yeah. We put that was on before, wasn't it?
Yeah, we watched that before, in the skate park,
I was like, what's going on here?
Because it's mad, isn't it? Because I've been speaking, I don't know if you know Saeed, who does like 3D Liverpool and stuff like that. He's like another like PT, and I've been speaking to him for a couple of years. But I had a Zoom chat with him the other day and stuff, and like it's, you know, it's always uncomfortable conversations, but like he wanted to like speak to like me as well, like about like his like experience about racism in Liverpool and stuff like that. And
well, you went to Caldies. How was that an experience? Because
that's every background.
There's every background.
We know footballers on 20 grand a week, and we know like, you know, people who are doing life in jail. You know, like
people went to Oxford University all on the same, like, you know,
it was the most diverse.
It's just so diverse.
But
I think that just like gears you up, like, you know, it's like. So, you know, I'm like almost in like my own little bubble, but like when I was growing up, like, I didn't think racism like existed with our group of friends, because like in Caldies, like we just all mingle, like mixed, you know, Muslims, blacks, whites, Asians, and it's just like we all get on. It's just like, and then it's not when you go to
it was
like,
a non-issue in your school because
non-issue at all. Like you just, you know, it's just you couldn't even, you couldn't even
But I think with the school like yours, because you see so much diversity, it's in your face, you can't ignore it.
Yeah.
I think the problem sometimes lies when people make out that there's no difference between people. I don't see colour, I don't see...
Yeah.
It's like,
No,
well, you kind of should to an extent. I don't think it should be the defining factor.
There wasn't, I wouldn't say there was like real racism in Coldies, was there? Well, maybe
not at all. Not that we saw, like it was... Because like you say, it was every kind of like...
But then when you step out of that, like, Coldies bubble, there clearly is, because, you know, like, I remember, like, you know, like, when we were going out when we were 16, and, like, there was, like, gang wars between whites and blacks and stuff. Remember, we witnessed all that kind of stuff. And, like,
because we went to a party. We went to a party.
Like the Mudmen.
And they turned up.
Like, you know, all these kind of, like...
If you know, you know.
Yeah, we all just look like it.
Yeah. So, like...
Because we took like 2 of our black mates out, and they were like, you know, they didn't want to like drink on the streets and stuff like that. Was like our big thing on the weekend. We're like, oh, we're going to a party and stuff like that, and they were like, yeah.
Did you ask you where it was? Was that?
Because like it was described to us as like Mossy Hill, but it was like edging towards Garston a little bit.
Yeah. Something we used to always discuss, depending on where we were going. What shoes have you got on? We might need to run at some point.
That's how deep it was, Joe.
No, it is mad, yeah.
I did lose a shoe once as well. I've lost a shoe once.
So then Ludman came into the party, and then it was like, oh my God, like, he's just like my best mate, you know what I mean? Like, you don't even know him, how did you not like him and all that stuff? So, like, that was like a big bubble burst for us, do you know what I mean? Because, like, even Duckdale was like quite diverse.
Duckdale's very diverse. So then it's like, when you go out that setting, like, you realise, like, racism is, like, you know, it is still there, it's prevalent, you know, it's a big issue, like, you know, but yeah.
I think especially with the kind of the way that you have helped and kind of shine a light and awareness more than anything else. I think from a brand like yours, with so many people in Liverpool kind of champion and get behind because of the good work that you have done, there's a difference for me. You get a message from the top in, you know, big corporations, and then we're saying the Amazons and, you know, the Premier League kick, and I'm a bit like, you have had years to get your shit in line, and use kind of just
stuff with Raheem
all that kind of stuff. It's like these ideas, but when you guys do it, I'm like, you get it. So I buy into what you are saying and the way you are kind of raising your awareness. I'm like, I rate that, because you didn't have to. Exactly,
that's 100%. Exactly, yeah, and that's it. You know, because like you're saying, like, you know, we have supported black businesses, you know, forever, but it was only until this movement we're like, you know, then we've got to, you know, do the blog and like stuff like that, and just really how much more we can do and put it into like a, you know, proper blog format kind of thing and shout about it.
Well, I feel like as the hat-trick hero over here, I feel like he wants to thank you for that.
Massive shout out. That made me day was the way he did it, but
nice one. Absolutely. So just moving things slightly along. Things are slightly starting to open up again. By the time people watch this, hopefully, you know, the shit end of lockdown should be over, and people should be able to start reassimilating back with life. For all of you, really, because I know you're all really busy and have got a lot of things going on. How happy is that made you? Is there a sigh of relief? Is it a weight lifted off your shoulder?
It's a bit bittersweet, really, because like, I absolutely like love lockdown in some senses, because, like, you know, it's a real chance to recharge the batteries. Like, because since the Bolton market's been open, you know, it's just been a crazy 3 years. So like, it was really nice.
How are you enjoying that journey?
Yeah, so it was amazing. It was amazing.
So good.
Journey's amazing, but like, no, we haven't
so mad though.
So mad. Just like, I haven't caught our breath for 3 years, so it's really nice to just get that break and just, you know, just like doing loads of like reading, running, cooking, just like, you know, just proper chilling out. So it was really nice, but then you miss that stimulation, you know what I mean, and just miss that like buzz and just normal life. So it was like getting back into it, made up that it's all coming back around again, do you know what I mean? But it's like, it's a different world, isn't it? And it's going to be like that for a while now.
It felt like, you know, on 4th of July, like when we opened, it felt like that feeling I had was like, it feels like we're opening again for the first time. But not only are we like reopening, but we've got all these like new systems in place, these one-way systems, you know, app that takes all these orders, it's table service, we can't have live music. And it kind of felt like we'd lost quite a lot of the DNA that like what people think about the market, and I was just really worried about what people's experiences were going to be like walking in.
Well, we had food somewhere the other day, didn't we?
Don't speak to me about that. That was a horrible experience.
The place that we went to is usually nice, to be fair.
Anything before this, I shouted them, but
Wait, what was it? What happened? Well, what happened? Just like...
Yeah, we walked in. He was like, right, there's a barcode on the table, scan it.
Yeah.
And a menu will show up on your phone.
Yeah.
And there was like, I know with you, you're fussy with food. There was no option for like, I don't want X, Y, and Z on my burger. There's 3 burgers on the menu.
No,
so like you've got your choice of 3 burgers, so the chances are what you're used to eating. I'm passionate about this. This was my cheat meal, and like I look forward to it. I got there and then I had to settle for second-rate burger.
Well, that's it, mate. You know, that's what we're worried about, though. You know, and that customer experience, like scan your barcode. Not, you know, you don't get that personal experience with you know. And
you don't get that like that. We were literally saying to
asking for your tip before you.
I was just going to say, the worst bit about it. One of the options on the menu was how much you'd like to tip them. So firstly, why am I going to tip you before I've had the service? And there was no service. No one brought us
exactly. Bloody hell.
We sat there eating fries covered with sauce without thinking. There was no really I can touch a table, I can touch a seat. I can't touch my own company or a menu or.
But I think the thing is though, it's hard for these businesses as well, isn't it? Because like everyone's just getting used to this like new way of doing things, and like it's really hard from a customer's point of view because it's not as good at
it's not the
experience. And it's really hard from the business point of view because they're still getting used to it. So it is going to take like a couple of months just to get.
The thing that had me. I know a lot of people. Not everyone has a smartphone.
Yeah.
Well, we literally have this debate.
Because my dad doesn't have a phone. My dad doesn't have a phone, and my mum barely like can work a phone. Yeah. And it's like, where the hell are they gonna get about?
But even going cashless is like quite classist, you know, in a sense, because it's like it's, you know, it's kind of presuming you've got a bank account. It's presuming that you paid into that bank account. You know, and that was like a big discussion that we had. It's like, so to come into our place now, you need a smartphone and you need that you can do contactless, and it's like it becomes, you know, somewhat classist in that sense, which isn't nice, but it's just kind of trying to abide to like the guidance as much as possible, putting everybody's safety etc. first, and then also trying to have people to have a good time, because the thing I'm worried about is like people going to places not having the greatest time and then thinking, oh, do you know what, I'll go once like lockdown gets eased, and I'm just worried those places might not be there, you know what I mean, when that happens, because
it's hard to shout that, to be fair.
So I wouldn't go back. I'll be honest.
But exactly. You wouldn't though, would you?
I do. I go for the food.
Exactly. But like, you know, it's
exactly.
It's not worth it, is it? Because it's at the end of the day, you know, you probably spent like 20 quid there or whatever as well. Do you know
exactly.
I mean?
This is one thing I don't actually understand. I don't know whether you have any idea on this. Why can restaurants only open with a limited menu? I don't get why a limited menu. I think cooking anyway. I don't get.
I think supply chain at the minute.
Maybe a bit of supplier issues, and I think as well, just like from like a stock point of view, people don't want to have like in case it goes off and stuff like that and all that.
I knew there would be like obvious. I just
but in the market we've tried to keep like everyone's like full menus on and stuff like that, and so you know we do hope people have that good experience.
But it's good opening back up, and like there has been a good atmosphere, but it's gonna, you know, we're so used to like everyone just rubbing shoulders at the bar, you know, like, you know, mingling, you know, because now
people have got used to that. Don't I think people, as you were saying earlier, people like that environment. That's what makes it so popular.
As much as, you know, like people pretend they don't like to be in a queue. When there's a queue to get on the market, you can kind of see there's like what are we walking into here? And if you walk in on a Saturday and like you walk in and like, or like the pints are like, you know, lit up and you look to your right, it's chocker, there's a live band on, you kind of get that like, oh, we're in for a good night here. So it's like losing that is quite tough, and you know we've been lucky that like
events are massive for us as well.
Oh yeah, massive.
Oktoberfest, we like do big beer festivals. You know, we do big summer festivals.
Even Liverpool winning the league this year.
Because we showed the Champions League. We showed the Champions League final, had a big Champions League final last year, so we had a massive party this year. So all these kind of things, it's just guttering, you know what I mean? But
it's just working ways around it.
We are working around it, and it's just. You know, and it's just getting to a point where you can make it. It's just going to be hard for businesses from like a turnover point of view as well. You know,
just the whole.
Do you think there's the support from top end government has been adequate enough then in that sense, or are we?
Yeah, no, it's helped obviously. Do you know what I mean? You can't say that, but I mean it still leaves a lot of people short and stuff like that. And you know,
I was just going to say, as a self-employed, that sounded very professional. As a self-employed individual, I got shit on him.
Yeah, exactly. I
got shit on you.
Yeah. So. No, it is. That's what I mean. That's it. It hasn't it's good that
not one size fits all. Clearly,
no, exactly.
Exactly.
Self-employed, it wasn't good at all, was it?
And the other day is
all our staff went on furlough, which was good. Obviously, we didn't have to let anybody go.
Okay,
so we brought all the staff back. So that's a good because we would have hated. We've got 30 members of staff.
And it's been with us since the beginning. We've had such a low turnover of staff. It's been horrible.
So we've been able to keep all our staff on, which is a good plus.
Yeah. But they released quite a bit of stuff the other day, the kind of Eat Out to Help Out campaign, and
what do you think of that?
And but then there was the rewarding people for bringing back from furlough, and just the problem is that they were all benefits designed at places like big chains, places that are going to do all right. If you can last till January and bring all your staff back, and you're paying them over 520 quid back, 20 quid a month, you're going to be fine. So getting a grand bonus for that seems a bit, and the Eat Out to Help Out, I'm a lot of independents that we know are getting on board with it, and I'm hoping it'll help them. But it does feel a bit like a kind of chain campaign, and Mondays to Wednesdays are usually the times that the owners refresh themselves. They might close in those days, and now it's that pressure to open. And I don't think anyone knows how it's going to work until it happens. But I suppose we're just hoping more help comes towards smaller businesses, and because it's tough if you're still paying the same rent, same wages and stuff like that, but you can only get half the people through the door.
It's hard work.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I know someone who said he's keeping his Megabytes.
Oh yeah.
I'm not sure, as of a week or two ago, I know he was keeping a couple of the places shut because he said...
Yeah, he's keeping them.
Especially with Megabytes, he said it's an arcade. We serve food.
Is Salt Dogs open?
So small. Salt Dogs hasn't opened. No.
Salt Dogs has only got 10 seats, whatever, isn't it? That's another place that relies on that rubbing shoulder. That's just being packed.
And that's part of it. If you weren't in and everyone was socially distanced, the experience wouldn't be there. And I think that's what's so tough for places that like ourselves, that kind of atmospheres play such a big part in it. Yeah, that's going to be the tough thing. We're just going to have
to get inventive, though, aren't we?
That is the good thing.
I saw that on the news the other day. That first socially distance festival. Did you see that?
The one that you've been putting on, your Liverpool Independent, is it up north in Clitheroe? What's that one called?
Ribble Valley one, is it?
Yeah, I think it's that one. I've seen that. That looks like with all the tents and that. Yeah, that looks boss. That looks a belter. That looks a proper belter.
So I think it's just going to be a case of that. We will have our little festivals still probably, but it'll just be in a completely different way. And I think it's we just gotta
adapt.
Just ride the wave, the storm, weather the storm until next year. But it's not going to be it's going to be hard for a lot of people, but hopefully we can, you know what I mean?
Exactly,
but hopefully a lot of other people can. But
it's just adapting, isn't it? And it's just that's what independents are known for and are good at. But this is just obviously a very demanding situation.
Couldn't have just imagined it, though,
Well, that's what we were when we said we want to film and we want to get down here. Our thing was we want to be in the Baltic because of the area, the atmosphere. It's all of that comes with it. That you kind of
made by independents.
Yeah, it is.
Winter will be in us.
Basically. So that was kind of we wanted to follow in those footsteps, and it's just been mad.
It's such an amazing area. It's proper inspiring area.
Hugely.
100%. To see lads like yourselves, similar age to us, kind of doing it and showing it can be done. It's got to give people that little bit of confidence to say, well, hang on a minute, these lads are two lads from Colby's. Do you know what I mean? For all intents and purposes, a lot of there's a stigma that'll be attached with Colby's a lot of the time.
Massively,
but you just completely flip that on the head and just show you can leave school, you can still go to uni, and you can still smash it and kind of build up your where you've come from as well. At the same time, you've not had to leave Liverpool and shit on Liverpool along the way.
And I think as well, people maybe think that it's definitely taught to us. It's you've either got to choose something that pays well or choose something that you like and you won't get paid well. And it's it's kind of trying to teach people that you can make a good living by doing something that you love as long as you absolutely love it. Do you know what I mean? And you're willing to go through all those bad times and those bad months and.
I felt that.
Resonated. So now we're just looking at some of the places that are going to be opening in and around town, and I was just scrolling on Instagram today, and just seeing the amount of dog pages that are all over Instagram and stuff like that, and you know, freaking Rocco's Forever on. Little Frenchie that he's got. Rocco.
God, we had a birthday party 2 weeks ago now. He had a better party than I've had in the last 10 years. We had like 15 of us. Yeah. He got him cakes, he done everything.
Like, did you get those doggy beers?
Oh,
yeah, like
those doggy beers. Little cupcakes.
Yeah.
For dogs. He had like a turn out for his birthday. The sun was like the pool out.
That's more people than I've got his birthday.
Spoiled rotten. Well, I was just going to say, like, it's become quite a popular little thing at the moment as well. Well, obviously pre-lockdown, it was starting to get quite popular that restaurants or spaces in and around Liverpool were quite open to having dogs in the company of the
honestly, like
customers.
Come to the Bolton Market on some Sundays.
It's like Crufts.
You
see some of the dogs. It's unbelievable.
Some of the dogs are like we're massively dog friendly and like. I think a lot of really good places are these days, aren't they? Like dog friendly. We've done like dog markets and that, because like we have traditional markets in the bottom house, so we've done dog markets.
We did meet Santa paws.
Yeah.
So it was to raise money for a dog home. Some poor woman had to put on like the biggest outfit ever, dressed as a dog, but like
with a Santa outfit.
With a Santa outfit on. Well. People came down with their dogs.
For like honestly, there was a queue, like of 50 people.
For the grotto.
For the grotto with a picture with Santa paws. Like honestly,
the most bizarre day ever.
We did like a special dog market inside, where there's like people selling special treats.
Prosecco.
Yeah, Prosecco.
Shampoos is the other one.
Shampoos. Yeah. That was
So if you had to go and like get your own dog now, because I know you guys didn't say.
No, I haven't got a dog.
God. Every day I think about it.
Me and my girlfriend have been like on the edge of getting one for ages. Like
it's a big commitment.
Yeah, but that's it. It's just, I don't think I'm ready for that commitment. You know what I mean?
Does she know that you are ready? What's she gonna find out now?
In 2 weeks when this goes out,
I'd really I'd like a schnauzer. Do you know the ones like the little beards and that? They got like.
Oh, okay, I think I've seen it.
I love like Shar-Peis. Like
my uncle used to have a Shar-Pei. They're quite sick.
Golden retrievers.
So because she's growing up with like staffs and that. So I will get one definitely, but it's just like. I just don't think I'm fully there.
I know. Someone on my Instagram's just got like a puppy Rottweiler, and like every day that she posts a picture, it just kills me. I just like a puppy Rottweiler, just be the dream. Because I'd also like a bigger dog as well. Do you know what I mean?
Like
just
a bigger dog.
I prefer bigger dogs. I'm not a small dog.
Well, not like a medium dog, like a medium dog. I think I'd like. But it's so because I was away with a couple of friends this weekend in a cottage, and like they brought their puppy with them.
Oh, shit.
And it was just like every morning, like it bounced on the bed and just woke me up by licking my face. I was like, this is the best wake up alarm ever. It's like so, and I just like and I just like cuddle it, and I'd be like, I just like woke up in the best mood ever. Like you know what I mean? I was like
so good.
That would be a good.
The dream.
So is there any like places in Liverpool specific with like good spots where you say they're definitely dog friendly?
Independent? There's so many places, like even Hope Street Hotel's a dog friendly hotel.
Oh really?
So you can you can take your dog, you can like stay over and stuff like that. You can like most of all like the like old school pubs and stuff like that.
Yeah, all the old school.
Good places, obviously, just around the corner, like Botanical Garden.
Yeah.
Like, that's like such a good place for your dog and like that. And like honestly, like the dogs get looked after better than the guests.
Well, I was going to say that. I feel like dogs, especially in Liverpool, because I feel like Liverpool's one of them cities. You were saying it earlier.
When someone else saw it, everyone wants it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So when it comes to the dogs, everyone's just on, if it's a Frenchie or if it's these XL bullies.
Some of the stuff I've heard my brother telling me about.
They're expensive, bro.
Send your dog to Doggy University.
Doggy University?
He gets a little graduation.
Oh my god.
This is the thing.
That's so good.
What do you like at the degree in?
It's like a behaviour thing. So
amazing. Is that Tales in the City in the Baltic? Isn't it?
Just that way now.
Down there.
Okay.
That's like a doggy daycare kind of.
It looks unbelievable.
They're so expensive as well. Some of these dogs now, like the prices that people pay for them, like $2-3 grand and upwards. For
I was looking
breeds.
at I think it was a blue English bulldog. That's some ad.
Yeah.
And I couldn't, $5,000 he paid for it.
Bloody hell.
I saw him on Alton Road, and he had a queue of people waiting to stroke it. It was the best dog I've ever seen, and I was like the 7th in the queue because I thought I'm not missing out here. Yeah, and I was like, I've never seen that kind of dog before, and I think he was just willing to tell everyone. But yeah, $5,000. I was like that dog's cute.
Top tip if you want to go and see some good dogs and get a coffee. Like there's that Thoughtfully Cafe, which is like by John Lewis, but it's next door to a dog grooming salon. So like you can just sit outside and like every 10 minutes, like an amazing like dog just groom just comes out.
With the fresh fade.
With the fresh fade.
You know, one time I walked past it at night, and there was like a piece of glass standing between me and true happiness. There was a Chow Chow photo shoot.
They're my favourite. Chow Chows are my favourite.
There was 12
best,
Chow Chows. They all ran towards me. There was puppies, and I was like, please open this door. I was like, I need to get in there. But yeah, Chow Chows are like one of my favourites as well. So like the big lions, aren't they?
Yeah,
but they're like
whenever
we post pictures of like dogs in the Baltic, they get the most likes. Don't they?
Yeah, because they're just unbelievable, aren't they?
I was going to say, Liverpool, I feel like it is definitely the city for like, or in and around the area.
Quite a few things spring up, and I've had a couple of follows now. People are breeding them as well.
Yeah. Massive thing as well.
Business.
Again. He's being offered for stud.
Oh yeah.
No.
People will pay £1,000.
Really?
From to bust a nut?
Yeah.
He's got a better party than me.
Better party, and he's being paid all kinds of top money.
No.
Have you said yeah, or has you said no?
Yeah. Have you done it?
No, well, as and when.
As and when, yeah. Fucking hell.
That's all right, but I think dogs do get a good standard of living in up these ways anyway. They get really looked
So you haven't got a dog?
Yeah, my mum's got 2 dogs. She's just got them. So she retired this year, my mum. And that was one of the things she said she wanted to do once she's retired. She wants to get dogs because she's had the kids. The kids are getting a bit older now. So she wanted dogs. So she's got 2 little dogs now. They're like puppies. They're little yappy things. I don't really like them in the same way. And then my uncle...
What dogs are they?
I couldn't even, they're like cockapoos or something. They're just like
my dog, the littlest ones are the most yappy.
Never run away when you're
approached them. One of them moves like he's an RSPCA dog. Like he's just really timid and like shut up anything. And then my uncle's got it's quite a big dog, but it's old now, and it's a boxer mixed with a Neapolitan mixed with a staff. So he's got he's a monster. He's a big dog, but he's got a small dog brain mentality. So he thinks he's the same size as a staff or a little boxer, but he doesn't realise.
Sure, I love
like
as well. What are they called? Dodge the Bordeaux.
Yes.
They are so.
Well, he's kind of got a Dog the Bordeaux kind of face as well because of his Neapolitan in him, but they are. He's a pain in the ass. He's just a big lump of lard. But he's just one of the most placid, chill dogs. You know what I mean?
But no, it is a good dog friendly city, isn't it?
Massively, yeah.
The parks as well. You just see them everywhere now.
That's what I mean. We've got the best parks. We've got like the best parks, like. You know, so many amazing places to go, like eat and drink with your dog and stuff like that. Like so many dog Instagram pages that have got so many followers. Like it's mad. Like it's...
Well, they've got an Instagram page for their dogs now. My mum and dad. Yeah, it's just like who's asked about these 2 scruffy little dogs?
It's so mad, isn't it? That's what I was saying before we started that page. Then we Dogs of Liverpool. And one thing we're doing photo shoot because one thing that we really want to do is around Christmas. Like we're going to bring out a Dogs of Liverpool calendar and get like a different dog in a famous
12 dogs.
Location. 12 dogs. 12
you need a dog in this location. This needs to be a landmark.
So we actually shot like 4 dogs as well, and it was like we got one on Penny Lane. Didn't
realise how hard it was.
Got a bit.
It was too hard. It just fell by the wayside. But like we got that pug on the Chinese arch. Lying down on the floor, getting the right angles of the pug. Like,
fellas just walking past us, just going, millennials.
So finally, just before we wrap things up, I know come towards the end of the month, it's going to be, mandatory, so to speak, for people to wear face masks in restaurants and public spaces and stuff like that. It's not in restaurants.
In shops.
In shops. Okay,
so weird about it. Doesn't really make sense.
But I keep seeing this constant meme telling people to wear. Go on.
Which one are you?
Telling people to wear a face mask. After
like 3 months later.
Baby shower with Johnny's.
So he's literally is back with the concept. Is that?
No, it is
so late.
But I think that just sums up the whole government's like processes and actions throughout this whole pandemic. It's been awful, hasn't it? Like 3 months late doing that. It's just
even like getting face masks on transport, getting people to like quarantine once they arrive in the country. Everything was so late and like enforced for like 2 weeks. Yeah. So it was a headline, and then it was like then became lackadaisical and stuff like that. So it just seems a bit like mad, isn't it? Like it's weird, isn't it? Because like I was like reading something about Hong Kong the other day, and like because everyone's saying like how well New Zealand did controlling the deaths, and everyone's argument was, well, how big the space is in comparison to the people, which is fair dues. But Hong Kong is so densely populated, and they've had like nowhere near the deaths that we've had. And
you got a handle on it quick.
Yeah, and a lot of people think that obviously it's like because their rush hour is insane, and like
they have 2, don't they? 7s, and is it Hong Kong that has 2 rush hours?
I imagine so, because it's so densely populated. So and like they wear a lot of like face masks and stuff like that. But something about like the kind of like the UK and the USA that it's like it's become politicized. So like it's become like kind of like adopted by like the kind of right wing ideologies. If you wear a mask, you're giving in to the government. And it's like I seen a tweet before. It was like, if I listen to the expert scientists' opinions and I wear a mask and I don't infect someone, brilliant. If it has no effect, I've just wore a piece of fabric on my face for a bit. Like it's not a hard like thing to do, and it's like it could have like a massive effect. And I just hate how it's been like politicized. Do you know what I mean? Like, and it's like
a massive
massive, because obviously there's like scientists that even say like, oh,
well, go on, it's scientist Marcel.
Yeah, who say it's stupid, and it's like actually it keeps a lot of the bacteria and stuff like that. And if you wear the same face mask all day, like there's a fellow who lives on my street and he wears that same face mask all day, and I'm like, mate, that's Corona Central.
You're breathing in.
Yeah.
And just lastly then, Marcel, just for yourself, what have you got going on moving things forward? Because I know the gyms are going to be open and so on. What's the vibe for you?
At the minute, it's hard to say specifically.
Okay.
Due to lack of guidelines, we haven't really been told again. Like,
so what's happening with stations and that? Like, every someone works out. Well, take stations, you have to sanitize.
I don't know, because now it's like it's gone from 2 meters to 1 meter. Now all the machines are spaced out just with the size of them anyway, more than a meter apart. So we can open on the 25th at this point in time. All we know is we can open on the 25th.
We don't know that.
We don't actually numbers.
That's what. Yeah,
we're an independent gym. We're not a pure gym with like however many 100,000 square foot of space.
Yeah.
Where we can we've got 50 treadmills and we can afford to put half of them out of action and space people out.
Yeah.
It's an independently run gym, so I don't get how we're meant to function.
Yeah.
Myself personally,
they probably give you the guidelines the night before.
It's very hard. Obviously, we've done what we can. So, like the hand sanitizers and stuff, everything's been fitted to the walls. Things are spaced out as good as they can be. The wipes and everything's around the gym. We've freshened everything up in the gym. It was long overdue. We've done a full redecoration.
Yeah.
Myself personally, I was one of the people. Like, I feel like lockdown went one of 2 ways. People either fell into a bit of a depression. Or were productive.
Hold a finger out.
I jumped on the productivity.
Same here.
All aspects of it, as I say, with the gym. We redecorated. I'm grateful. This is the only thing I am grateful for with the lockdown. Is that the gym was in need of it, and we've made the most of it.
Amazing.
Completely changed it around.
Amazing.
We otherwise never would have had the opportunity.
That's amazing. You get that chance to stop and stuff.
And
just like
with my own, I've used it to build up the brand. It was, I guess, in the same sense, I knew what I needed to do.
Yeah.
But being so busy with, say, my online and my sessions, I did not, and say with filming and things, my days are busy. I've not had a chance to actually take a step back and say, right, I know what I need to do, but here's how I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
So we've really got the clothing brand side of things up and running now. We've got a web store.
Amazing, man.
It's sort of in the works. It's a template at the minute, so nobody go looking for it. It exists, but it doesn't exist in any kind of format. So we've done well with that. We've been out and about delivering t-shirts, hoodies, and so
left, right, and centre.
It's been we've sold more in the last month than we've sold in the previous year. And this is the thing now with a lot of people who, before this, they were not that bothered about the gym. Now everyone appreciates it.
That is, because once it's taken away from you,
it's taken away from you, isn't it?
To appreciate it. Like, I can't wait to get back.
We've took advantage of that, and a lot of people who want gym wear have sheltered us.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And
I think
good gear as well, to be fair. Like, check out the top. Yeah, check out the tees.
Nice.
The reflective gears.
Yeah. That's so nice.
Yeah.
So he's flying there.
And as well, like, obviously, I think people are just more health conscious now, aren't they? Like, with coronavirus and stuff like that, like, preparing for, like, but like, yeah, like that's the thing with, like, I think I struggled with lockdown at first because I live alone, so it was like, bloody hell, this is a bit mad, this. But then I think that, like, every day, like, I wake up and, like, my mentality was like, oh, what's my day gonna do with me here? It's gonna pull me this way. I'm needed there. But, like, during lockdown, I was like, oh, what am I gonna do with my day?
Yeah.
And I felt kind of in control of, like, do you know what? If you want to just go for a walk today and that's it,
that's absolutely fine.
And then eat a whole pack of mini roll raspberries, just do it. Do you know what I mean? It's a global pandemic. Now's not the time to be worrying about
calories.
You've never worried about them before. Definitely don't worry about them now.
Love that. So just, before we wrap things up, I know it is very, I think that's the word of the year. Apart from entanglement, I think entanglement's made it into the top 3. It's become the new one.
Yeah. The memes of that have been unbelievable.
Unprecedented.
Such a good word.
Is one at the minute still. I don't think you're topping these unprecedented times that we're in. But given that, if everything wasn't so unprecedented as it is, what advice would you give to budding guys or girls that are, fresh coming out of university or even younger, coming out of 6th school, year 11s, 12s, wanting to kind of be an independent, do something for themselves? Go on.
I'd say if you're going to do something, then fucking just go for it, because
you've
all just had life snatched from us.
Yeah.
You never know, you may as well give things a go now and take a chance, because a year from now, anything you might have ideas or plans for, you might never get the chance to do it, so do it now.
Because as well, like, now's the time, like, especially like with all the things we have available to us. Independent Liverpool wouldn't exist if there was no thing as a free social media. So we were completely cost free. You've got people creating YouTube in garages and selling it for like billions of pounds. You've got musicians making songs in like basements in the houses and selling millions of CDs. It's like, obviously, when you give everybody that ability, it becomes like,
it's competitive, but that's the whole point.
So it's about like kind of like staying above that, but it's like, like I'd say, it's just 100% like it's just go for it. Like,
it's like what we touched on before, like, don't focus too much on the money to begin with. Just follow that, like, that passion, that desire to do something, and focus on that, and like the money will come eventually if there is something there. Do you know what I mean?
Fantastic.
And I think as well, like, it's just, I think like everyone, like especially like our generation and the generations coming up, like there's a difference now.
Gratification, we kind of.
Yeah, I think like maybe older generations or whatever, like maybe I'm just like stereotyping, but it was about the influence was dictated by money. And I think now people they want to change the world. They want to they want to make their own legacy and stuff like that. I think with all that we know about billionaires and millionaires and like wealth hoarding, it's not so much about that now. It's actually making like a lasting change that will stay on forever. And like what we love about Independent Liverpool is the fact that like it was a mentality within Liverpool to support their own before we were here. And when we're long and gone and when the business is long and gone, it'll still be there after. But, for a little bit in history, it was like, we brought it together. We created a Facebook page and we all enjoyed Liverpool for a bit.
That's it. Well, on that note, I'm absolutely made up that he's came down.
Oh, nice one for having us. Nice one for the room.
No worries. So again, guys, the boys from Liverpool Independent, Dave, Ollie, again, thank you very much for your time.
Nice one, boys.
Today's episode, go on, wrap it.
It was hosted by Marcel.
Nice one, thank you.
Cheers.
We'll be back soon. Check out the group chat.